You're on the road, and that road leads into the endlessness of the universe. And the light that you see leads only one place, one single place alone, and that is to love. She walks in beauty like the night, of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes, thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron. And that is a poem that fits perfectly to our little video here. Welcome, my name is Charles Moulton, and I call this video God Could Be a Woman. Steven Tyler, the lead singer of Aerosmith, he once said that he sat in the forest where he grew up, listening to the birds and the breeze and the winds in the trees, and quickly decided that the tenderness of nature, the symbiosis of everything, the recreation, that God is a woman. In our society, especially in the Western Hemisphere, we have very much decided that things belong on shelves. We have these categories, and there are multiple categories, and we stick things into those shelves, and we're very surprised when somebody else comes with something that is actually completely contradictory to these categories. We say lots of things. We say, well, we need meat to survive, we need medicine to survive, we say that there can be only one religion, but let's be honest, the universe is a huge, big place. It's a gigantic place, and I'm sure that among the 100 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy, there are multiple planets and, species and beings that live on those planets that have found God in a different way. So of course the Christian God makes sense. Of course the Muslim God makes sense. Of course the Hindu gods make sense. But it doesn't mean that it's the only way to God. There are different paths that lead to the top of the mountain. Now, the image we have of God in the Western Hemisphere is Moses with a long beard on a cloud, with his 10 commandments on Mount Sinai. But to be honest, let's quote Carl Gustav Jung, the philosopher and psychologist, when he says that anima, those female qualities like tenderness, softness, conscience, righteousness, caring, nurturing, are spiritual qualities. Of course, women have great courage, much more than men sometimes. But the qualities, the innate female qualities, are spiritual. And what is the spirit? More than a mirror of God. So when you look at the soul and you look at the female qualities of all these spiritual characteristics, you're actually looking at an energy, a conscious energy that flows through all of us. And you can test that energy, and I've said that in many, many articles in many, many different places in videos, that if you look at someone from the back, far away, and he's not looking at you, or she's not looking at you, that person, whether he's standing far away or near, or there's a glass in between, whatever, that person will turn around and say, why are you looking at me? And that's beyond holy books, that's beyond all of those different things. And that is the energy. And this conscious energy flows through all of us. It flows in art, it flows in ballet, it flows in everything we do. When we think of a friend and that friend calls, And that's no matter if we're atheists, if we're agnostics, if we're believers, or what religion. And that's beyond holy books. And we got to ask ourselves the question, what was before the beginning of the Big Bang? And who's going to be there at the end of the universe to open the door? What is eternity? Those questions all belong there, and it's a conscious energy. Now, if we call this energy female or male, that's, to be discussed. But to be really, really honest, in the characteristic of the person from Facebook that said, mothers are the coolest people on the planet. In that sense, we could actually say that God is a woman. Of course, you have Neil Donald Walsh, that in his book, Conversations with God, he said, in the words of God, that if you're born as a woman, in this incarnation, it means that you are an elevated soul. And we have to think outside of these categories. In the web, there are multiple authors and people who say that we're living in a matrix. In a matrix meaning that we're in a computer program. But if we actually ask that question, we're trying to explain away God. We can't take away the Creator. We can't take away the apple seed. We can't take away the root of something, because if we do that, we're actually, it's like reading a book and not giving a shit, to be really honest, about who wrote it. And that's the wrong thing. So if we do ask the question, are we in a computer program, we have to ask the question, well, in that other world, who wrote that program? And eventually it'll be like the painter painting himself, painting a painting. Eventually you're right, going back right to the very original question, who is the original creator? And those are important questions. And I struck a gold mine a number of years ago when I discovered quantum physics, that we are 99.9% empty space, and the rest is buzzing energy. And Niels Bohr and Albert Einstein actually came across the fact in scientific experiments that we, as our conscious selves, our consciousness, create the energy of the electrons. We actually we are able to control the electrons, even in vacuums where nothing should exist. Little electrons pop out of nowhere. And that is actually something that Jim Al-Khalili, the professor of University of Surrey, he found that out, that these electrons and these particles, they actually pop up and disappear in places where they shouldn't, in complete vacuums. I'd like to end this little video here with a very, very important question that is close to my heart. As I wrote, or as I read in this poem in the beginning by Lord Byron, that's a poem about a beautiful woman. She walks in beauty like the night. And we have these paintings, Velázquez Venus with Mirror, where we see a beautiful woman on a bed. And we really enjoy the sight of that beautiful woman on the bed, and we see how well she's, crafted. Or Helena Fourmont, the wife of Peter Paul Rubens. We enjoy the pictures of her naked beauty. Now, why are we so ashamed of our real sexuality? Why can't we enjoy the beauty of a living being like a tree, and enjoy the living being, the beauty of a living being in reality, like a woman, without sniggering? Now, Woody Allen said that the most fun I've ever had without laughing is during sex. And in sex, we have actually a situation where two people become one. And I'll be honest, when I make love to my wife, I really definitely feel God. And those are actually important statements. If you read carefully what it says in the Bible, Adam and Eve, everything was perfect in the allegory of Adam and Eve. Everything was perfect in the beginning, and humans, like animals, had no shame. A lion doesn't feel shameful when he makes love to his spouse. Neither does an elephant. And look into the eyes of a dog, and you can't say that you doubt that there's an eternal soul there. So everything was perfect until man became ashamed of his sexuality. And that was the downfall. So ask yourself this today when you're walking through the world. Could God actually be a woman? And, the sexual power creates a baby. We have to use it wisely. We have to be faithful. We have to be, trustworthy. But ask yourself, the things that you put on the shelf, the things that you categorize, do these categories actually fit? Are they real? Because we're dealing with the universe here, and the universe is a huge place, and God is the only logical explanation to all these questions. And, that sort of concludes my little video here, and I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. I hope that you will continue to like my videos, to view my videos, and try to be open. Try to see the world in different eyes. And, God bless you, and take care of yourself. Good night.